out Yvette Nicole Brown, we're coming for you. Not really. You just inspire us. So we keep all these notes. Actually, Yvette Nicole Brown, if you're watching, because you're watching, right? I would love it if you were watching. But look at this. Look at this. You see all of this? I don't really know what this is. Q tells John to take Coleman but leave Rach. Cole tells Q to butt out, and I spelled butt wrong. And she tells him that he can't handle Rach because she's a ticking time bomb. Unreal. Anyway, look. Notes on notes of Yvette Nicole Brown. Anyway. Are we ready now?
I reckon.
We're as ready as we'll ever be. Because that's how it is.
Yep. That is the life of this entire channel.
Yes.
So.
It's a little bit of a prepared hot mess, I guess.
Yeah. Slightly prepared, lots of mess.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's okay. Because we're human. And humans are messes. As Sebastian told us so many years ago, and we may not have believed him, but the human world, it's a mess. So, you were right, Sebastian.
Yeah.
And if I could grow a mermaid tail, I would go under the sea and I would forget about being up here.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, things are good too, obviously, but it's a mess. And we're a mess. It's just a bunch of mess.
Yep.
And you know what else is a mess? Oh, wait. Here's what makes this show a mess. We don't even tell you the name of it. This is our McWorld.
Welcome. Welcome. Or welcome back.
Yeah. I'm Courtney.
Mallory. That's me.
But you know who else makes a mess?
Writers.
And producers and networks.
Yes. And that's what we're talking about today in our new edition of our Whining and Whining segment. We're going to be talking about TV shows that got canceled.
Yes. Now, mostly I counted shows that got canceled and absolutely ended. So, like, I didn't put Brooklyn Nine-Nine on my list because even though it got canceled by Fox, it got picked up again by NBC because obviously people that work at NBC are smart.
Yes.
So,
yeah, I don't think I have any on mine that got picked up by something else.
yeah.
They got ultimately canceled. Done. Just done.
And because today, the day that we're filming, probably not the day that you're watching it, but the day that we're filming is National Rosé Day.
Ooh.
So, we have Pacific Coast Pink by Knocking Point and Emily Bett Rickards from Arrow.
Mm-hmm.
It's a sparkling rosé, and you're supposed to, for best results, share it with your best friend in a bathtub. But we're going to share it with our best friends on a vlog!
Yay!
Cheers!
Cheers!
It's very bubbly.
It is very bubbly.
I like it.
You know, it'd be better in a bathtub, like a hot tub.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's hot outside right now, but in theory.
Right. Honestly, this is like a light taste to it to me, and it's not super sweet, but it's not bitter. This to me is like a good poolside sipper.
Yep.
I mean, I guess a pool's kind of like a giant bathtub, but you shouldn't be like bringing your loofah and your soap in there.
Yeah.
I don't take baths anyway, so
I don't either.
I just take showers.
It's been a while since I took a bath. A bubble bath.
Yeah,
It gets too hot.
probably.
Last time I had a bubble bath, I was only in it for about 5 minutes because I was sweating to death and thought, I'm done with this bubble bath.
The last time
Like a
I
hot
had a
tub.
bubble bath, I was probably 5 years old. So,
I used to be allergic to some types of bubble bath. When I was a kid, I would break out, so I quit. They didn't let me take bubble baths anymore.
bless your heart.
But I have tried since I was an adult, and I didn't break out, so it must have been
Little kid stuff.
of
course, things have probably gotten better.
Dye or
About being more hypoallergenic too.
yeah.
So I don't know.
But anyway,
But anyway, now we're going to whine and be whining and whining.
yep. Shall we start off with one of the most annoying ones?
Yeah, because it's probably the one that we harp on the most.
Every time people talk about canceled TV shows, we usually bring it up.
Yeah.
Or sometimes we just bring it up in everyday conversation. Somehow, something will remind us.
We'll just be riding down the road and be like, you know what sucked? When Reunion got canceled.
Dang it. Yeah, it was, in case you do not know what Reunion was, because it was only on for not even an entire season. The whole premise was there was a group of high school friends. There was 5 or 6 of them?
Yeah, I think there were 6 of them.
And they were best friends, whatever. So it's like a mystery where 10 years later, at their 10-year high school reunion, one of them is dead. And
No,
one
I
of
think
them,
it was 20.
maybe it was 20, yeah. High school reunion, one of them's dead.
Yeah.
But you don't know who. And supposedly one of them was the killer, but you don't know who. So each episode was a different year.
Yeah.
Like their last year of high school or their right when
Right.
they graduated. And then each followed them along.
And it would kind of show significant events, but it would also jump forward into present day where they would be talking to the cops or whatever. So slowly but surely, it revealed them kind of one by one so that you knew who wasn't dead.
Mm-hmm.
But then they were all trying to still figure out. First of all, you got to figure out who even is dead, and then eventually you do figure out who's dead. Then you think, okay, well, now who's the killer? But it got canceled midway through, so we never found out who the killer was, although then we did read an article which was worse. On another episode we do of this show at some point, you may have seen it, it may be coming, kind of depends on when we post these, but we're going to talk about do bad endings ruin shows, or books, or whatever. Let me just tell you, had this show have ended the way they said they had it planned, it would have ruined the whole thing, because they said that it was going to end up being the dead woman, which ended up, spoiler alert for a show you're never going to watch, being Samantha, was the dead girl.
Mm-hmm.
And they said it was going to be her kid.
Yeah, and I thought, wasn't the whole thing, it was supposed to be one of the friends who
Yes.
killed her?
Yeah.
I don't know, the whole thing was crazy, but we were so mad, and obviously it's kind of stuck with us, even though,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like it was the greatest show, but
No,
it was just the fact that we never found out, and then after that all came out, it just
Yeah.
made it even worse.
Yeah, because at first we were just furious because they didn't show the ending, so we didn't even know who killed her, what happened, nothing. We still don't really obviously know the whole story. We just read that little article.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the middle of the season, and they never showed the whole rest of it, and I thought, what even?
Yeah, they didn't even, I think they had more episodes
Yeah.
filmed, but they never showed them and never put them anywhere
No.
that we knew about. So, which that's really a lot of, well, I don't know that a lot of these were like that, where it just got canceled in the middle.
Yeah.
But a lot of them on my list kind of leave you hanging
Yeah. That's
with
the worst.
storylines that you never find out the answer to.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it the most irritating, I think.
Yeah.
When anything gets canceled. Some shows that I've watched that have gotten canceled, and like I wrote it down, but like Angel, for example, even though it technically got canceled, and it didn't totally wrap up everything, it was still a satisfying ending, I guess.
Yeah.
And it had been on for 5 seasons. So, I mean, there wasn't a whole lot left. And I think they found out they got canceled before, so they were able to wrap up a couple of things that they might not have if they just straight up got canceled, which has happened on several of these,
Yes.
rest of these.
Yeah, I like it when they have a chance to wrap it up, even though sometimes they do their best, and it's hard if you find out in the middle kind of a season and you've already filmed the majority. It's kind of hard because, like, one show that got canceled that they did the best they could, but it was wild, was Dollhouse. Because, like, Dollhouse got canceled and they knew they were canceled. So they tried to bring the ending that they had imagined in, and they did wrap up the show.
Yeah.
But it was just, like, radically different from the first 2 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, in doing that, it was still good, but it just wasn't as good because it all seemed forced and very rushed.
Yeah. I have a couple of shows on my list that were like that.
Yeah.
That one being Castle. Now, the thing about Castle wasn't... my biggest problem was it didn't make any sense the way the finale went, because and it was one of those situations where they had filmed an ending to stick on to the end.
Yeah.
If they got canceled, and then they did. But the problem was it made no sense with the rest of the story. And what made me mad was that they were setting it up to either write off or kill off Kate.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought, her and Castle are the show.
Yeah.
And you can't just, I guess they could. That's what they were going to do, and then they got canceled, so really maybe that was karma. But, the show had been on for a long time, so it wasn't like it was just up and canceled. And they gave them a happy ending, I guess.
Yeah.
But did you ever watch the finale?
No.
But she had been, I don't know, they had some weird storylines where she was doing all this and there was somebody after them. And somebody showed up at their apartment and shot both of them.
Yeah.
And then it went to this random scene that was like 5 years later, and the 2 of them were living happily ever after with some kids.
Oh,
so it just went straight from that to that, no explanation, no nothing.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a very good ending. And I know that, when you get canceled, but I'm also like kind of, maybe you deserved it after you were planning on killing her off, because she wasn't leaving.
Oh, yeah.
She didn't ask to leave. They basically said, we're not renewing your contract from what I read, so.
Yeah.
But that one was like that, and then the Life Unexpected. Did you ever watch that?
No. You told me about it.
It was like that too. It got canceled, and its ending was sort of kind of like that too, because they had this random scene at the end that was a couple years later.
Yeah.
And it had, you got at least a little bit of a wrap up with the characters of like, because it was will they, won't they, will they get together, and then what'll happen with Lex and all that. And so they did kind of tack that on. So even though it didn't flow well,
yeah,
I liked it better because at least we got something of a happy ending for all the characters.
Mm-hmm.
But it was not quite as crazy as the castle thing to where... Because I don't even remember what the characters weren't... The way they ended up wasn't where they were at all before the random couple minutes at the end. But, they couldn't, I guess. You got the time, you got to do what you can. So I'm glad they got a happy ending, but I am bummed because I really did like that show a lot. And so I was really hoping that it wouldn't get canceled. Period.
Agreed.
What you doing?
I gotta look something up. I gotta find out if this show got canceled. Because if it did get canceled, it needs to go right here in this conversation.
Do you want me to keep talking while you're doing that?
No. Just let dead air run. How do I know if a show gets canceled or if it just ends? Here's what. I'm just going to talk about it anyway. My show, I do what I want. Did Warehouse 13 get canceled?
It was on that list I was looking at.
Okay, well, okay, so assuming Warehouse 13 got canceled, I think they did get canceled, but they knew it before they filmed the whole last
Because
season.
they had a weird ending, too.
Yeah, because that was kind of the same deal, even though, now admittedly, it was a longer play, so it wasn't quite as weird as just, hey, slap this all together at the end. But still, it was still very rushed, it felt like. And they knew they were canceled, I'm pretty sure, before they even started filming the last season.
Yeah.
So that was kind of especially weird. Mal and I actually toyed with, and we may still do this, who knows, with like rewriting the ending kind of Warehouse 13, but it just really seemed like out of nowhere Pete and Micah were in love.
Yeah.
I mean, you wanted that, but at the same time...
I mean, I did too. I always do that. And if you've seen our other video, we were ranting about couples that should have been. A lot of times when you have like partners,
Yeah.
I tend to ship them. And so I kind of ship them, but I will also admit that they really didn't have a lot of, like they never dropped hints.
Right.
I mean, like most partners, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, Castle and Beckett were like that for a while, and then they eventually started,
Right.
you know, having these moments where you thought
Yeah.
they liked each other more. But they never really had that. I mean, honestly, she had more chemistry with HG. I felt like
Yeah,
they were
for
building
sure.
that up more throughout the show, so it did feel a little bit strange, even though I wanted it.
Right.
It was weird that it happened.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, that was one of those to where, I mean, again, they did a better job of it in that they didn't just sling it into one episode, but they still slung it pretty quickly to where it was like, okay, now, just so you know, they're in love, and, you know, again, it's like you always kind of wanted them to be, but
Are they?
again, I mean, because Pete always really... Pete seemed more like he had feelings for Micah, but it was not that way the other way.
Yeah, it
So,
was.
But it, you know, I'm not too salty about it because they did at least wrap up the show very well and they didn't get hung out to dry. And so at least that was good.
Mm-hmm. Here's another one I think we can both complain about. Persons unknown.
All of my questions were not answered.
That was all of the previews leading up to season 2.
Yes. OMG. So, the beginning of if you have never heard of Persons Unknown, it was a mini-series. Networks don't know what that means, apparently. What mini-series means is, you come on, you tell one story, and you're done. Because I think technically they treat The Center on USA as somewhat of a mini-series, and it's had multiple seasons, but each series wraps up a story.
Is different, then you have a different story.
Right. The only common thread is Bill Pullman. So, mini-series, and they start advertising this. All of your questions will be answered by the end of the summer. So guess what I did? I kept a list. Literally writing down every week what questions I had. Were all of my questions answered? No.
No.
I have more at the end than I started with.
It was so strange. In the first season, everybody wakes up in this town, all these random people, just in this town that they can't get out of because there's a thing, like a
bubble, kind of.
yeah, like a big force field.
Yeah.
And there's cameras watching them, and there's this random Chinese restaurant with people. That's the only people in the town besides them are the people that work at the Chinese restaurant, but they don't talk to them.
Yeah.
They just make them food and leave.
Yeah.
So they're trying to figure out why they're there. And then they get out. Well, they find out one of them is really a plant.
Yeah.
But then they finally get out, because we're thinking maybe at the end of season 1, you know, it'll actually kind of wrap up what's going on here. No, then they get out and somehow they're on a boat or something.
Yeah.
No, that was at the end. Was that at the end of season 2? That they were on the boat and then it got canceled.
That was the end. That may have been the end of season 2. Well,
because maybe they
did
didn't
it have
escape
2
in
seasons?
season 1. Maybe it didn't. Maybe it
I don't
only
know.
had 1 season. That might be it. Is it had 1 season?
What happened?
And there were supposed to be 2, or it led you to believe there'd be 2, and then it got canceled.
Yeah, because the whole time they were like, this is going to happen. And then it started to seem more and more like they were setting up a season 2. And we thought
This was a miniseries.
quit with your mess.
I think that is right. I think that's what
yeah,
happened.
just 1 season.
Is it had 1, and they got on this boat, and we're like, what happened? We still have no clue what's happening at all. And then it got totally canceled, so
Yeah.
now we'll never know.
Now we don't know, and why all my questions were not answered, as previously discussed.
As they promised,
Yes,
they lied.
they did
They
lie.
lied.
They don't know what a miniseries. That's happened on more than one occasion, and I can't think of another one right off the top of my head. But there's been a couple times where they're like, "This is a miniseries," and then they try to set up a season 2 and blow the whole thing.
Yeah, and then they don't wrap it up, and then we never find out.
Yeah.
Another show. This is one I won't say much about it because I know you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
It's Spinning Out on Netflix.
Ooh.
You never watched that, right?
No.
I watched it, and I
It's
don't.
coming on Netflix.
Yeah, it came out on.
Oh,
it was
it's
a
on
Netflix,
Netflix.
show.
Okay.
So it only had 1 season, but anyway, I didn't discover it I don't think when it first came out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but I watched it and I really liked it. And then I was really, really bummed that they canceled it. And I don't know why. I don't know if people weren't watching it, but if they were like me, like they didn't advertise it like they do.
Yeah.
Some of their shows, you see tons about it before it comes out, but I didn't even know what it was.
Yeah.
But it was really, really good. But the good thing about that show is it had some loose ends. It had some open-ended things, like you kind of want to know.
Yeah.
It leaves it with lots of questions, or did this happen? Did this happen? But at the same time, I kind of like the way they did sort of kind of wrap up some of the main plots from the first season. So at least it was a somewhat satisfying ending, even though I was really super bummed because I really liked it.
Yeah, that is a bummer. That's kind of how I felt about Me, Myself, and I, because that was a show on CBS. And I think they did actually come back and air all the episodes that they had filmed.
Mm-hmm.
So at least you kind of saw what kind of happened. But really, honestly, I just don't know why it got canceled, because it's not like it left me hanging. But I just thought, this is a pretty funny show, and there's a bunch of trash on TV. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I don't know why it got canceled. But, so I was just a little bummed about it. But at least it kind of wrapped up a little bit to where you just weren't totally hanging.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll talk about this show for a second. And I don't even rightly remember what happened at the end of this show. But I'm mostly irritated about it because of the reason it got canceled. And that's Everwood. And we sort of talked about this a little bit in one of our other videos. But what happened was, and what I read at the time, was Everwood and came on the WB or whatever. I think it was a WB at that time.
Yeah.
And I think they had like 2 seasons at least. I don't remember. But it was a really good show. I really liked it. But they ended up at the end of whatever season, I know there were things that were not wrapped up, and they canceled it because they decided to bring back Seventh Heaven. The Seventh Heaven was on its final season, and they put out this thing that said, well, the series finale got all these views, so we decided to bring it back. Like it ain't a series finale, fools. That's why people watched it. And then guess what? The next season tanked big time, and then that ending sucked. The first ending was good. The series finale was pretty good. The second one, like, all of them had twins for some reason. I don't know, it was really ridiculous.
That's way too many people.
And I was so annoyed about it, and especially because at least that's what I read, is they canceled Everwood so they could keep Seventh Heaven.
No.
So that made me even more mad than I already was about Everwood, because I don't know if we ever got wrapped up on any of their stories, of the relationship stories, and because I had lots of ships on that show.
Oh, yeah.
Because what's her face that plays Kepner? She was on there.
Yeah.
And Brighton was Chris Pratt's character's name.
Oh.
First time I ever saw Chris Pratt in anything.
Chris Pratt!
And I wanted them to be together. And then I would really like them more than
the main people.
But I wanted the dad to be with, I can't remember anybody's name now. The blonde lady. I don't remember her name either. Yeah.
Was somebody's name Tuck? Or is that his name in real life?
His real name is Trip Williams or
Treat.
Treat. Right on the money. Not really.
All around. Talking about Everwood.
So I had lots of ships, and I don't remember what all got wrapped up. I just remember being ticked because of the Seventh Heaven aspect of it.
Yeah. Really, honestly, so in case you've seen our top TV shows, one of my favorite TV shows of all time was Fastlane. And I don't know that it actually got canceled to put the OC on, but the OC took its time slot.
Yeah.
So I boycotted the OC for a long time. Then I started watching it. I caved. But I really like Fastlane, and honestly, it's been so long since I've seen them now. They did show the rest of the episodes, at least on G4, and I have them on DVD, but I need to rewatch them, but I haven't. So I don't really think it left us hanging necessarily, but I can't remember. I just remember I was so mad because I just loved that show so much that, I just couldn't believe they took it off.
Yeah. So,
and that's kind of the same as Life as We Know It. I really liked Life as We Know It too. That had Sean Ferris on it, like Reunion. What's up, Sean Ferris? Anyway, I love Sean Ferris. But Life as We Know It was about these 3 teenage guys, and it had him and that dude from, I think he was on Brothers and Sisters maybe, and then Chris Lowell.
Yeah.
So that show is just kind of about them, living and being teenagers and what they really think all the time. So it would like freeze time kind of and show what they were thinking.
In their brains.
But, it was, and they did do 3 extra episodes that came out on the DVDs, I think, to kind of wrap it up. But it was just one of those that I was just irritated that it ended more than anything, but.
Yeah. Another one I have is True Calling.
Oh, yeah.
But only had the 1 season. And I really liked it, too. That was Elijah Dushku was the star, and she had visions, I think. Or no, was it dead people? I think she was a medical examiner or something. And the corpses would come alive and talk to her. And, tell her things. And she would try to go...
That's helpful.
Or I feel like it was partially vision. So then she would go back in time or, wake up that morning again, knowing that this person was going to die and try to save them. I feel like it was something like that.
Yeah.
It's been a while. But I really liked it, and it was only on for 1 season. It got canceled, and I was pretty bummed.
Yeah. One show that I watched, we both watched actually, but we didn't watch it till it had done been canceled for years, was Firefly. Mm-hmm. Because, of course, if you're a proper nerd, I'm not going to say that. But if you're no. But a lot of nerds and geeks have watched Firefly.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why we watched it, because we just heard so much about it. It has one of the most loyal fan bases I've ever seen in my life, because they are still so diehard about it. Mm-hmm. And so, it really just had people on it that we already liked, like Alan Tudyk and Nathan Fillion. So we thought we should definitely watch this. But it had been canceled. The movie had been out. Everything was well over with by the time we watched it. So
yeah.
even though it's upsetting that there was only one season, it's not like we can be, I guess, really upset that when it got canceled.
Yeah.
But it should have had. The problem with Firefly is it's a really hard sell because I really like Westerns and my dad really likes Westerns. We're a Western family. And Firefly's a Western. It's just in space. And it's in the future, kind of.
Yeah.
But I can't get him on board with that. Like, I just keep saying, but it's really, if you watch it, it's a Western. And see, Mal's not really big into Westerns, but, you know, she likes the characters and stuff, so you like watching the show. But I guess it's hard to bring people in if you can get in there and stay, because the pilot doesn't do the show justice, which happens with a lot of pilots. So,
Yeah.
you know, if you get in there and stay, then you realize that it's really a Western. If you've watched Westerns like I have, John Wayne, this show's a Western.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I think that it was just a tough sell, and, you know, Fox. No offense, Fox, but also you kill our dreams sometimes.
Cancel all the things, it seems like.
Fastlane, Firefly, I think True Calling,
Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
But
Yeah, anyway.
they do.
Yes.
So yeah, I liked it. I'm glad that they had the movie.
Yes.
But even though the movie, I feel like the movie still didn't wrap up everything.
Yeah.
And obviously then sad things happened in the movie, but I still think there were a couple of things, but I'm glad they at least got to have that.
Yeah. Unlike some shows
Later, we found out.
that say they're going to have a movie and don't. We're looking at you, Young and Hungry.
Mm-hmm. That was another show that, well, let's getting into that. We can get into the realm of Freeform / ABC Family, because I got a bunch of shows from that channel on my list. So Young and Hungry, though, the way it ended, obviously, it ended with the proposal. What's the answer? Who knows? And then what's worse is they said, we're going to make a movie and have one more thing, and then come out and said, nah, we're not doing that.
What y'all doing?
Come on.
Yeah.
Just give us something.
Please.
Because the cast all was really in favor of like doing the movie and trying to really wrap it up for the fans. And
Yeah.
But no.
We deserve something.
They were also supposed to make a Greek movie, I think.
Oh.
And they didn't do that either. I love that show, Greek. I think it probably also got canceled because it wasn't on for very many seasons.
Yeah.
But it did have a good ending. Despite the fact that it may have gotten canceled,
Mm-hmm.
it did have a good ending, I thought. But also on ABC Family, previously ABC Family, probably when all these were on there, The Lying Game, which I don't think you watched that, did you?
No.
But it was this giant mystery of these two twins who one of them faked her death and one of them took over her life, or they switched places. I don't even know what happened. They switched places and then one of them supposedly died, I think, but then she was really faked her death.
Sounds complicated.
Anyway, they had all this drama, and me and my mama used to watch it together, and then I'd go to work and talk about it with one of my coworkers because she also watched it. But then it just straight up got canceled, leaving tons of things open-ended. And you never found out anything, and it was just, and I didn't even know. It was kind of a surprise. It wasn't even a big announcement, I don't think, that it got canceled.
Yeah.
I just happened to see it somewhere, and I thought, wait, what?
Yeah.
No resolution ever.
Well, another show they canceled was Baby Daddy. Right?
Yes. I think, yeah, it did get canceled.
And Baby Daddy was so good. I mean, it didn't really leave us hanging, I don't think. But at the same time, it just, I don't know why it didn't keep going and going.
No, like it did have a good ending also, but same thing is it could have gone on so much longer.
Yeah.
And it was so funny.
Yeah.
So I don't understand why they canceled it.
And they kept stuff that wasn't nearly as good at the time. I can't remember exactly what all, but I know there were a couple shows on there that we hadn't heard good things about, or we watched them and they just weren't very good. But yeah, I mean, the thing about it, sitcoms is sometimes they do run their course and it gets annoying. But a lot of times you can really make sitcoms last. And and they still be good. And Baby Daddy was nowhere near being done, and they canceled it.
Yeah, it deserved much more. I was also irritated, as you might know if you watched our other video, about Wildfire getting canceled. Because even though it wasn't one of my favorite shows, I was mostly mad because of the way it ended, because they did that wrap-up really quick ending.
Oh,
I told you where Chris and Junior got married out of the blue, and everybody was cool with it, and I was not. I was pretty ticked about that. And then also, let's see, what are my other, Ravenswood. So this is a Pretty Little Liars spinoff.
Oh, yeah.
And where Caleb went to Ravenswood. And it had the girl, I keep wanting to call her Macy, because that was her name on Jonas. The girl that played Macy on Jonas was also Stella. Her name was Stella on Jonas. The girl that was Riley on Baby Daddy. She was also on Jonas.
Oh, yeah, Chelsea Kane.
Yes. So, anyway, this girl she was the other co-star. But she got killed, she died at the beginning. And then she was a ghost. And he could see her, but nobody else could.
No ghosts.
Because Pretty Little Liars got into a temporarily weird ghost thing. And that's where Ravenswood came from. But I really liked it. And I think it got canceled after one season, too. And then Caleb just came back to town whatever. I just had a weird ghost experience, but
why not?
So I was really bummed about that. But the show from ABC Family that I am probably the most mad that got canceled is Jane by Design.
Yep.
You know.
I do know. Because she just rewatched the show and got mad all over again about it.
Yep. I forgot how mad I was until I watched it again. And then I remembered. And now I'm mad all over. But, see, on this show, it was following a girl, Jane, who was in high school. And she thought she was applying for an internship at this fashion, or the designer, I don't know.
Fashion house.
Yeah.
That's what they're called.
And she went in, and they thought she was applying for an actual job.
Oh.
So they hired her, and she didn't tell them the truth. So she was pretending to be, I think, 21 or 22 or something, but she was really only 16. But, so she was trying to hide this from her boss the whole time, and also hide it from her brother. And so the only person who knew was her friend Billy. And he would try to help her. Mm-hmm. Well, at the mid-season finale, Billy had realized that he was in love with her and went to tell her. And that's how the mid-season finale ended. Where he told her, "It's you," is what he told her. Aww. And then it ended. Then it came back on, and we were pretending I guess they had talked about it, and he was like, "Oh, I just meant whatever. I didn't really mean, No. But by the end of the season, Jane because she was dating this other guy, Billy had his girlfriend. She was getting jealous of Billy's girlfriend, so she was falling for him too. And so she was going to tell him but couldn't because he had a girlfriend.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the whole thing, her boss shows that she's designing costumes for the high school play in which Billy and his girlfriend are the star. So she's bummed about that, but also trying to do this. And her boss shows up because she wants to meet the designer of all these, student who's designing these costumes, and comes in, and Jane is there, and she's like, "What are you doing here, Jane?" And then it freaking ended, and it freaking got canceled, and Jane and Billy never got together, and we never found out what happened with her job, and I'm still super irritated about it.
Dang it. That is the worst.
And I did read, and it kind of makes it better, kind of makes it worse. I was reading this article, and it was talking about, I think it was on TV Line, about what would have happened if shows hadn't gotten canceled, and that one was on there, and it said, the writers had said, well, Jane and Billy eventually would have gotten together, and they wouldn't have figured out that it was her yet. She would have come up with some excuse and kept hiding it, but I was like, but now we'll never get to see it.
Maybe they'll do a reunion or something. A girl can dream. I've never seen this show, so. But it sounds terrible. Well, one show that I'm recently mad about because it just got canceled is Single Parents.
Yes.
And I'm mad about it because, first of all, my two ships one sank and one did not set sail.
Yeah.
And also, it's just a good show. Why aren't people watching these shows? Like, I've seen other shows on TV that are not nearly as good.
Yeah, that stay on forever.
Yeah.
Lance Bass Space Camp.
Yeah, right? Lance Bass Space Camp. What other show has Lance Bass Space Camp? None.
None.
No show. But yeah, so I don't know. I mean, it was funny to me. And, you know, then they had to, spoiler alert, sink Poppy and Douglas, which my OG ship for that was, my original ship was Will and Angie, of course, because that was the ship you were supposed to ship. And I did, because I'm a romantic. I'm a sucker.
Yep.
But then I was really more invested in Poppy and Douglas. And they torpedoed them, and then they didn't put Will and Angie together, and that's canceled, and here we are.
Yeah. I was really hoping in the finale that we would get a moment with Will and Angie. I mean, they kind of
had their little moment where
broke
they
up
were
snuggling or something, but
yeah, but still.
But they never really got together. And like you said, Bobby and Douglas never made back up, and now it's over, and now
We're miserable.
we're just left with that.
Yeah.
I don't want to be left with that.
No.
Let's see. Another show I have on my list is Pushing Daisies.
I figured that would be on your list. I thought of that earlier.
Because that was, I think it only had, I don't know if it had more than one season or not. But, of course, in case you do not know, Ned can touch people and bring them back to life, dead people. But only, I mean, he can touch them, but when he touches them again, they're dead again.
Oh, yeah.
So sometimes he helps, like he'll touch somebody to try to find out what happened to them or whatever, and then immediately be like, nope. But he touches his, like the childhood love of his life dies, and he touches her and she wakes up, and then but now he can't touch her again or she dies again.
Yeah.
So the whole thing is they can't touch each other. But then there's, I think her name was Olive, that was Kristen Chenoweth's character.
Yeah.
And she was in love with Ned. And I always kind of wanted her and Ned to be together because she was so funny. I mean, it was ridiculous, and it was kind of a musical. They would, sing throughout it and stuff too.
Wow.
And it was a really ridiculous show, but it was really good. And I wanted to see more from all of it, but alas.
Yeah.
He got canceled.
Yeah, another show that I liked that got canceled. And this is also odd because, okay, so the show is Trial and Error, which I know you haven't watched. But Trial and Error had the same format sort of as The Office and Parks and Rec. It was a mockumentary.
Mm-hmm.
But it had 2 seasons, which, if I'm being fair, I kind of thought, I don't know, sometimes I just have vibes that people aren't watching shows. And I don't know why. So I guess from the first season, I kind of thought, I bet this show will get canceled.
Mm-hmm.
But but I thought it was really funny. And the second season was, it was such a weird band of characters, quirky characters. But the second season, it came back and each season kind of focused on a separate trial.
Mm-hmm.
So at least it kind of wrapped up. But I feel like they could have kept it going, and I just don't know why. I mean, admittedly, it probably wasn't on the same level as The Office or Parks and Rec. But I still thought it was good enough to keep going, and it was a summer show.
Yeah.
So that was also kind of annoying that it got canceled, just because I thought, of course this summer there's hardly anything on, but,
Yeah.
even in other summers there's not a ton of stuff that you're competing for all this space, so I don't know. It's weird that they canceled it and that it wasn't successful to me.
Another one, before I get into my final ones that are all somewhat related, is Girl Meets World.
Yeah.
And this one had a pretty good ending too. But I felt like it could have gone on. Like, I really enjoyed that show as one of the kid shows.
Yeah.
But it didn't, it just had a couple of seasons. But I felt like it could have had a lot more before they wrapped everything up.
Yeah,
so I
I
thought it
agree.
had a good ending, but I am still sad it got canceled.
Yeah.
And that was similar with, I mean, I know lots of other shows like Zoe 101 got canceled. I don't know if iCarly got canceled or if it just ended.
Yeah, I think iCarly ended, but I know Zoe 101 got canceled.
I remember why it got canceled.
Yeah.
But, and then Victorious, there were some other shows that kind of got canceled, but to me, Girl Meets World was the one that bummed me out the most, that there wasn't more to it.
And it was so weird, too, because to me, in my vibes, I felt like Girl Meets World was a popular show.
Yeah.
So it was strange that it got canceled. And I guess, too, because, I mean, obviously we were grown people when we were watching Girl Meets World because it wasn't on that long ago.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of figured it would rope in people like us that watched Boy Meets World and the new generation. So, and to me, it was just it was probably a harder show in that it tackled more issues probably than some of the other shows on Disney Channel.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I mean, it was a teen show, so, rate it PG or whatever you do, but I don't know. Yeah, it was weird that it got canceled. I would agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
I guess Last Comic Standing and World Series of Pop Culture got canceled.
Oh, yeah.
We used to love those, and we would watch them every summer. And World Series of Pop Culture, it would come on, and we would record it on a VHS tape. And then we would come home from work, and we used to work at a park.
Mm-hmm. We
would come home from working and watch it. And then, like every day, we'd grab the tape and watch it.
Yeah.
And it was basically just, trivia and different games surrounding pop culture, which is kind of our thing.
Yeah. So, we always thought it'd be cool to go on it.
Yeah.
If we could go on it, how good would we be at it? And one of the things that sticks out in my mind was one of the final things, they had this giant board and it had all these, and you had to say lost characters.
Oh, yeah.
They'd take turns. The teams would take turns until one of them couldn't name one.
Yeah.
And I think they did that with different categories. I just remember the lost characters being one.
Yeah, I think they did that too with, they would say the name of a celebrity and then you would have to name things they have been in.
Yeah, until somebody couldn't.
Yeah, so then we kind of practiced that
a
little bit too on our own. We were training for this and then, it was over, so.
I think Cupcake Wars got canceled too.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't seen it, and if it did, in a very long time. Which I know they have Cake Wars and all kinds of other stuff, but I always like Cupcake Wars the best.
Yeah, Cake Wars don't even come on anymore, really.
Mm-hmm.
They have a new show called Big Time Bake, but it's not as good. It's okay.
Well, my last batch I have are all somewhat related, like I said, because they're all Marvel shows.
Oh.
So, we'll start with the Netflix Marvel shows. And honestly, I was the most bummed about Iron Fist because of the way it ended. Because at the end, what's her face?
Colleen.
Someone made me call her Connie.
I called this woman Connie for so long. And I don't even know why. It was just one of those, what is her name? Connie. And then I said, I'm going to call her Connie. And every time Mal would be like, her name is Colleen. Every time. Until eventually, I confused her so much that now she thinks her name is Connie and cannot remember her real name.
Yeah. So, but she got the fist at the end.
Yeah.
And I was so excited about to find out what happened next, because I felt like that show got better. Like the second season was a lot better than the first season, which I always liked Iron Fist. A lot of people didn't like it, at least at first, but I really liked it. But I did think the second season was better, so I was super bummed when it got canceled. We didn't get to find out what happened.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe we'll find out on these other shows, and then
no,
one by one,
they all
canceled.
Dropped.
Yeah. No more Jessica Jones, no more Luke Cage, no more Defenders, no more Daredevil.
No more Punisher. Punisher was my favorite. And Punisher, I don't think it left you hanging too much, but Punisher's definitely not for everybody. Mal hasn't watched it yet. I know it's not for her. She's not going to like it like I did. But to me, it was the best one. And the first season of Iron Fist, I didn't enjoy that much either. But But the second season was really good, and then I was all about Iron Fist, and I think that's actually before Punisher had started. So, but yeah, and then they all got canceled, and that was kind of a bummer.
Yeah, and I still haven't watched Jessica Jones season 3.
Yeah.
So I don't know how it ends, but
Weirdly.
but Luke Cage ended obviously with him, because he had like taken over the club and was acting like,
Cottonmouth.
he was getting into that position, which was totally not him. And then it ended, so we don't know what happened with that.
Yeah.
And then Daredevil, I can't remember how Daredevil ended.
Yeah, I can't remember how Daredevil ended either. I know in the last season, he was really struggling.
Was that when he was in the church?
Yes, and he lived in the church like most of the time. And I think that, well, see, here was the weird thing about Daredevil, is that they brought Wade from Heart of Dixie on there.
Yeah.
And he was supposed to be Bullseye.
The FBI agent.
Yeah.
Whatever is his face, too.
Yeah. And so they bring him on there, Wade, that I don't know what his name was on the show, I forgot. But anyway, but he's Bullseye. So if you've seen the movie, which I have not, but the only reason I know anything about Bullseye is because it was Colin Farrell. So they bring him on there. He's Bullseye. He becomes Bullseye, which I think they may have killed him. It'd be helpful if we remembered what happened.
Well, see, I think they thought they did, but at the end, somebody was trying to
patch him
up with like not all human parts. I'm not real sure about that either.
Anyway,
it's been a while.
I think we thought that they would be, there would be more, that they would have more to the Bullseye storyline.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, I thought there was more.
So much
for all of
Fisk.
it, but they all of them got canceled.
Yep.
So no more of any of that.
No.
Sadly.
Yeah, and part of that was because of the whole Disney Plus type of situation and Disney buying Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what happened, I think, but still. Well, was that everything you had?
Well, no.
Oh.
I got one more.
Okay.
Also related to Marvel.
We'll go for it.
Well, technically, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. also kind of got canceled.
Yeah.
But they did then give them like two extra seasons they didn't know they were going to get. So they kind of almost uncanceled it in a way. I mean, it still technically got canceled, I think. But because they thought it was going to end with season 5.
Oh, yeah.
Thought it might. And then they got a 6. And then they got a 7. Which is exciting what we're in now. Which can lead me into talking about the last one on my list. Let me see my shirt for today. Agent Carter. Agent Carter had 2 seasons. And the second season, I thought, was pretty. A lot of people didn't like the second season as much as the first, but I did. I thought they were both really good. And, of course, I love Agent Sousa, which, if you know anything so far about this channel, you should know that.
Yes.
But he was on S.H.I.E.L.D. last week, which is, he's fresh on my mind. Also, she hasn't watched S.H.I.E.L.D., so I can't talk about it. But what the hell, as Fitz would say. That's all I say about that. I got a lot more to say about that, but I can't say it right now.
My bad.
Because one of the reasons, well, obviously, Agent Carter was a great show. And it was so cool seeing Peggy, and she was always doing all this really cool stuff, and Jarvis was really funny. But then her and Sousa's relationship, too, I was pretty invested in, obviously. And they technically were together sort of at the end of Agent Carter. But then when it got canceled, of course, we never found out what happened. Well, now, as of this moment, I know what happened to Sousa. Well, sort of, kind of, what happened to Sousa. And after Agent Carter ended, because the S.H.I.E.L.D. takes place 10 years after the events of Agent Carter Season 2. So, spoiler on that. So anyway, we kind of find out a little bit of what Sousa's been up to, and then some more stuff about Sousa that I can't talk about right now. But altogether, I'm very, very sad it got canceled because not only did I want more Sousa, but I also just wanted more of the whole show in general because I thought it was really good.
Yeah.
And I love Peggy and
I have that in my Disney Plus queue to watch.
you should watch it.
Then I can be salty with you.
Peggy and Sousa should have been in game.
But they weren't.
Unpopular opinion. But my opinion, nonetheless.
But, speaking of love, you know what else got canceled? All of love shows. And I know this is a touchy subject. And because we know why they got canceled.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like the step really just be saying we're not going to have any more trashy of love shows. Why didn't they just implement better screening? I mean, first of all, I don't know that you really could have prevented what happened.
No.
And we won't dwell on that here. You can look it up if you want to. But basically, the reason I think that they all got canceled carte blanche pretty much was because the producers felt like they couldn't screen contestants well enough. But, I mean, we've had 57 seasons of The Bachelor on ABC. But y'all can't screen. I mean, look.
Like, nobody, and really, I thought, okay, the shows that somebody's on.
Yes.
I mean, sometimes you have to, I mean, RuPaul did that this season.
Yeah.
They tried to cut a contestant out of the season.
Right.
Because of something they had done that they later found out about. And this is kind of the same thing, only, I mean, I guess this is worse.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Of what this guy did. But instead of just canceling not showing those 2 seasons of those shows he was on.
Yeah.
That they canceled everything and never had anything again. And I'm thinking, but this guy presumably had never done anything until he did.
Right.
So I'm like, that's what you can't know what everyone's going to do. You can
No.
only do your best and, screening your contestants. He didn't do anything while he was on the show.
No, and that's where I just feel like they should have just, and I don't know, maybe they're running out of ideas. That seems hard to believe, but and they did try to do a couple of other more reputable shows, and admittedly, they may have been casting people who were a bit wild and out of pocket for these shows, I guess, anyway.
Yeah.
But to me, and we tried to watch The Bachelor. We did watch The Bachelor. We got pretty invested in Peter's season, admittedly, because we were going to the gym and we were watching it. And it was on. So we did kind of get invested in that a little bit. But nothing but look, I can tell you right now, without having watched anything else of The Bachelor, it is not nearly as entertaining as Rock of Love and Flavor of Love when you know these people are not here for love, most of them, 90% of them. And if they are, you kind of have to question that too, honestly.
Yeah.
And people were just so wild and people were funny. Yeah. And you couldn't help but laugh at them. And they did the most ridiculous challenges I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. I mean, The Bachelor, this season that we watched, part of it, they did some challenges, but they weren't.
No.
They weren't like these other, the of love challenges.
Nobody tried to cook a chicken in a microwave.
No.
They didn't have stripper Olympics.
Nobody crapped on the middle of the floor.
Right. What are you even doing, The Bachelor?
Yeah. What kind of show is this?
Yeah.
So, that one was a bummer.
Yeah.
Because I really like that, and I Love Money. I Love Money was where all of the contestants from all of the Of Love shows came to try to win money.
Which is what they were probably there to do in the first place.
Yeah. And they had them doing, because it started with Flavor of Love, and then had Rock of Love, and then each one of those had spin-offs.
Yeah, it got...
And the spin-offs had spin-offs.
Yeah. I mean, you went from Flavor of Love to I Love New York to Real Chance of Love
to Frank, the Basement Affair.
The Basement Affair. Then Rock of Love, you had Daisy of Love and Megan Wants a Millionaire.
Mm-hmm.
Then you had Charm School.
Oh yeah, where they brought in some of the girls.
Yeah, to make them try to be better or, stuff. And then you had All of Money, which was the best.
Yeah, All of Money was the best one.
Everybody was being honest at this point.
Yeah, everybody was actually admitting they were out for the money.
Yes. So, anyway, then they did try to have, like, For the Love of Ray J and My Antonio, but it just wasn't the same.
No, those weren't trashy enough for me.
They didn't even have nicknames, I don't think.
No, because that's what all of Flav started it, I guess, with giving everybody a nickname. I don't know, the Rock of Love people didn't have nicknames.
No.
But I think
Daisy did.
Daisy gave them nicknames, though.
Yeah.
But they, kept going. To this day, if I see any of those people like New York, I always call her New York.
Yeah.
I think her name's Tiffany, but I always call her New York.
Yeah, no, same.
Like, did you see New York on
right?
this thing?
Yeah. So, they do have Double Shot at Love with Paulie and Vinny, which is, I guess, as close as we
as
get.
close as we're going to get, I guess.
But, and then they have, I guess MTV has a show called The Challenge, which seems sort of like I Love Money, but these people seem like they actually are athletic and, and fit to do challenges.
A lot of the people from I Love Money were just randomly plucked from these shows, so they were like everybody. It wasn't just athletes like you'd see on The Amazing Race. I mean, it was
So they should we all need some trashy TV shows, I feel like.
Yeah.
I don't feel like anything has and maybe I'm missing stuff, but I don't feel like anything is on that level anymore.
No.
So that was the last thing I had that I could remember anyway. I'm sure there's been more.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to. I was looking through a list earlier trying to make sure I didn't forget anything. So, but if we did, if there's shows you're mad about we didn't talk about,
and
let us know.
And if we remember anything else, we'll just tack on an in memoriam segment to the end of this like it's Talking Dead.
Yeah.
And just show a list of other shows we're peeved about.
Like, also forgot this one. Also forgot this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've thought about some of our videos doing a tack on to the end segment.
We do what we want. So, while generally you pour one out to people you have lost, I'm not pouring this out because it is delicious and I don't want to waste it.
And we're sitting on my carpet.
And, well, that too. So, cheers.
Cheers to all of the shows that have gotten canceled and that we've all been sad about.
We love you, we miss you, and here, this isn't open.
Well, if you like the video, you can like. If you want to hear more from us, you can subscribe. Turn on the notification bell.
Tell your friends.
Tell all the people.
Grab a glass of wine and get things off your chest.
Yep. Come back for more whining and whining. Come back for our book club, for some lists, for some other random activities.
We're developing new things all the time.
We'll be talking about some trips and some cons and all sorts of stuff. So,
well, yeah.
Come back.
Come back. But for now, goodbye.
Goodbye.